The Twistlings. Waking up that morning, the sun painted hues of orange and pink across my quaint, thatched roof cottage. The feeling in my heart was unusual. It wasn't the humdrum of another ordinary day, but rather a ripple of anticipation, a strange sense of premonition I couldn't quite place. It was as if the universe was whispering to me that change was on the horizon. I stepped outside, the dew still fresh on the leaves, sparkling like tiny jewels in the first light. That's when I saw them, the odd little luminous spheres fluttering about in the air, casting a serene glow around my humble abode. They danced and twirled in the wind, beckoning me with their mystic lights to follow them into the heart of the forest, a forest that I had traversed hundreds of times. Yet today, it felt different, as if holding its breath for a grand reveal. The pulchritudinous orbs, which had an enigmatic aura to them, led me deeper into the woods, where the wildflowers bloomed brighter, and the trees sang a melodious symphony, their leaves rustling in the wind. The ordinary forest I knew was no more. It had morphed into a symphony of color and sound, creating a mesmerizing path to a hidden glade. The sight that met me in the glade took my breath away. A feathery creature of such resplendence stood before me that words fail to do justice to its magnificence. Its iridescent plumage, glowing like fiery gemstones in the sunlight, flickered with an aura of wisdom and authority. I was intrigued by the warmth radiating from its figure. I felt my soul being drawn to this extraordinary beast. "Only the pure of heart make it this far, my child," she said in a comforting tone that reminded me of my mother. "You're beautiful," I told her. I was fascinated by her psychedelic feathers, reflecting the light of her flames. I could feel her warmth as I approached, but I wasn't afraid. The Celestial introduced herself as Aurelia, a phoenix of legend and the guardian of these mystical beings, the Twistlings. Aurelia was the one to reveal the secret of the Twistlings, explaining their gift and the price it bore. They possessed a bittersweet power, the ability to grant wishes, but their magic was not benevolent. It thrived on the emotions of those they helped, extracting the essence of joy, contentment, and peace, leaving behind a ringing void of emptiness and perpetual restlessness. Despite her stern warning, I found myself entranced by the thought of having my deepest desires fulfilled. I yearned for the prosperity, power, and prestige I dreamt of since I was a small child, born into a world of humble beginnings and limited opportunities. Yet, as I looked into Aurelia's ancient, soulful eyes, I felt a shiver of unease. "They were not always this way," Aurelia began, her voice a soothing balm amidst the eerie silence that the glade had descended into. "Before the embers of time began to glow, the Twistlings were benevolent spirits, radiating warmth and joy, granting those in need wishes. They fluttered among the trees, sharing their joy with every being they encountered. But their radiance drew the envy of a dark sorcerer from a nefarious society called Fiefage. He desired the magic of granting wishes. I saw into his heart. It was filled with malevolence, spite, and a monstrous, unyielding cruelty. He was the embodiment of pure malignity. With his society's dark art magic, he hurt the Twistlings so grievously, destroying any of the happiness they possessed. He ensnared the Twistlings in a vile curse, perverting their gift. Instead of spreading joy, they began feeding on it, their glow growing with each emotion they siphoned away. They became prisoners of their own power, trapped in a cycle of granting wishes and feeding on the emotions that they once freely shared. I felt a chill down my spine as the tragic tale of the Twistlings unfolded. The glade, which moments ago had been a spectacle of colors, now seemed cast in an ominous shadow. I looked at the glowing orbs floating aimlessly around me, their innocence marred by a sinister curse. Abruptly, a strong desire washed over me. I turned to the Twistlings and I spoke. "I wish for wealth. I want power. And fame." And so, the Twistlings surrounding me began to glow and swirl and twist, faster and faster every second. At last, a tall messenger wearing a jester outfit entered the glade from an opening in the forest. He approached me, and saying nothing, he handed me a parcel that had a weight to it. "What is this?" I asked. He stared at me blankly, no expression on his face. He looked saddened, almost as if he had no soul. Before I could say anything else, he turned around, vanishing back into the abyss of the forest. I stared at Aurelia with confusion, then down at the parcel. wondering what this strange man just handed me. It wasn't until I unwrapped my gift that I knew what was inside. Wealth. Wealth beyond imagination. Power that could sway kingdoms. Fame that extended across the land. Everything I could have imagined was in this weighted package. The world would bend to my whims, shower me with riches and reverence I could only dream of. After saying goodbye to Aurelia and the Twistlings, I left feeling euphoric. There was another feeling, but it was so far in the back of my mind that I couldn't tell what it was yet. Like there was a part of me I wasn't listening to. Throughout the months, I would frequently return to the forest for more wishes. It was never enough. Each time I returned for another wish, I felt a piece of my soul dissipating, replaced by an insatiable thirst for more. As the days bled into nights, the weeks into months, my joy turned into a reflection, my contentment into an illusion. I found myself distanced from those I once held dear, their affections drowned out by the clamor of my newfound fame and fortune. The people I had known were replaced by an entourage of fawning admirers, their insincerity masked by hollow praises. The magic of the Twistlings had erected a wall around me, severing my ties with the world, leaving me adrift in a sea of my own making. One evening, lost in this turbulent sea of thoughts, I stumbled upon a humble cottage nestled in the outskirts of the forest. There resided an elderly woman, her eyes filled with the wisdom of ages and a strange sense of familiarity. She introduced herself as Melis, a former captive of the Twistlings' magic. Melis's gaze held a depth of understanding as she listened to my tale. She had endured the same enthralling and devastating encounter with the Twistlings. However, she had managed to escape their clutches, and now lived a life of simplicity and contentment. My heart ached for such serenity, a stark contrast to my current state of constant craving and dissatisfaction. The Twistlings' magic feeds on our incessant desire for more, she revealed with a knowing smile, her voice carrying the echoes of her past struggles. It exploits our insecurities, leaving us with a longing that is never satiated. But remember, the key to liberation lies in appreciating the present moment, to relish in the small joys life offers. Her words resonated deeply within me, shaking the very foundation of the life I had built upon the Twistlings' magic. It dawned upon me then that I had been chasing an illusion, a mirage of happiness that receded further with each step I took towards it. Emboldened by this newfound insight, I resolved to free myself from the Twistlings' influence. I returned to the glade, determination coursing through my veins. The Twistlings, eager to grant more wishes, greeted me with a frenzy of excited zaps and whirs. This time, though, I was not there to ask for materialistic desires. My heart pounded like a drum as I spoke my wish, each word reverberating with the weight of my determination. I wish to be free from your influence, now and forever. The glade fell into a profound silence, the kind that precedes a storm, a silence so deep it echoed. The air crackled with tension, the Twistlings swaying uncertainly in their luminescent dance. Aurelia, the majestic phoenix, peered deep into my eyes, her gaze piercing through to the sincerity of my plea. Then, with a nod that held the grace of ages, she granted my wish. The Twistlings seemed to flicker uncertainly before they began fading, their light growing dimmer until they vanished into thin air. The air, once buzzing with their presence, now lay calm and quiet, disturbed only by the hushed whispers of the forest. An overwhelming sense of relief washed over me as their influence receded. It was as though a fog had lifted from my mind, replaced by a clarity that I hadn't experienced in what felt like a lifetime. The Twistlings were gone now, but I was a free soul once again, free from the shackles of insatiable desire, free to return to my old life, to return to being me. I ventured back to Whimsyville, my heart weighed with the lessons I had learned. My return was marked not by grand celebrations, but by warm, heartfelt embraces from those I had left behind. My parents, who had worried endlessly over my sudden change, wept tears of relief. My friends, whom I had distanced in my pursuit of more, welcomed me back with open arms. In their warmth and love, I found a sense of belonging that no amount of wealth or fame could ever provide. As the days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, I found myself living a life of contentment that I had thought was beyond my reach. I used my time sparingly, to spread joy and love, to soothe and to heal. I shared my story with the folks of Whimsyville, who listened with rapt attention, their faces reflecting the whirlwind of emotions that my tale evoked. In time, the tale of the Twistlings became a legend, a cautionary tale that the people of Whimsyville passed down from generation to generation. The story of a young child who had been led astray by the promise of limitless desires, only to find true happiness in the simple, mundane aspects of life. I became a beacon of hope, a living testament to the power of contentment and the perils of unchecked desire. I remained forever grateful to the Twistlings, not for the fleeting joy they had granted me, but for the invaluable lesson they had taught me. The lesson of finding joy in the journey, of cherishing the here and now, of being true to oneself in a world that constantly tempts us with illusions of grandeur. They had led me down the path of self-discovery, and for that, I would forever be indebted to them.